Hi, my name is Timothy Reeves. I'm doing a how-to speech on how to install a light switch for English EMP1000. First, you want to turn off the power to the circuit. You're going to go to your circuit panel. It's going to look something like this right here. It's a bunch of switches. You're going to find the one that goes to your circuit that you're going to be working on. Sometimes on the door there will be a label. You look on that label and find the room. If you don't have that, then you're just going to want to flip through until you find the exact one that goes to the circuit you're working on by cutting the line on and waiting until you see it go off. The way it goes, it's either going to be a 15 amp or it's going to be a 20 amp breaker. Once you find the right one, you turn it off, make sure that the power is off. Then you're going to want to gather the tools. The tools you're going to need for this job is one Phillips head screwdriver, one pair of wire strippers, and you may or may not need one flathead screwdriver. That's not on here, but you might possibly need that for the faceplate. Sometimes they'll come with flathead screws, sometimes they come with Phillips head screws. You're going to need these materials. You're going to need a box of wire nuts. You're going to need one light switch and one faceplate. Once you've gathered all the materials and all the tools you need, then you can begin with prepping your wires. Your wires are going to be inside the box like this right here. They're going to come, sometimes it'll be one coming from the top, one coming from the bottom. Sometimes they could both come from the top or they could both come from the bottom. In this picture I've got one from the top and one from the bottom. You're just going to make sure that you've got the wires right here. You want about 4 to 5 inches of wire sticking out of each side. That should be enough for you to work with. Once you get your wires out and you get them ready, you're going to want to strip the wire part of it. You're just going to strip the insulation back off. Usually on your light switch there's a strip gauge. It shows you how much of the insulation you need to strip off your wire. You're just going to strip it to what the gauge says to strip it to. And then you're going to take your 2 white wires and connect them together like this right here with your wire nut. You just make sure it's good and tight. Twist your wire nut on until it won't twist any further. And you give each wire a little tug just to make sure that it's good and tight. And once that's good and tight, you're going to want to push it to the back of your box, leaving only your 2 black wires hanging out. Then you're going to want to bend those wires. When you bend them, you want them to look kind of like this right here. Just put a hook on each black wire. Once you get those bent like that, then you're going to want to take your switch and you're going to want to hook it around the screws on the switch. Sometimes you might have to use your screwdriver to loosen the screws up a little bit more, but either way it goes, you hook them onto those screws. And sometimes you might have to take your wire strippers and squeeze the little hook together just to make sure it gets a good connection and it can't come loose. Then you're going to tighten those screws down. Once you get those screws tightened and your wires are good and secure on your switch, then you're going to want to take the switch, and you notice it has 2 screws in it right there. And in your box you have a screw hole at the top and a screw hole at the bottom. You're going to want to put your switch onto that, making sure that the side of the switch that says on is up and the side of the switch that says off is down. And you're going to want to fasten the switch back into the box. It's going to look something like this right here. It's not the best drawing, but just to give you an idea. You get your switch fastened to the box like that. Make sure all your wires are pushed in and not sticking out past your switch. And on the switch there's going to be 2 little holes there, and those holes should line up with the holes on your faceplate. You're going to want to put your faceplate on, tighten the screws down, not too tight, just enough to snug your plate on very good. Once you get that done, then you're going to go back to your switch panel, and the panel that looks like this. Find the breaker that you turned off, turn it back on, and go back to the room and turn your light on with your new switch, and you should be all set. Thank you very much. My name is Timothy Reeves, and this was a speech on how to install a light switch.